As Naruto fans were all aware that after the 4th Great Ninja War, Kakashi Hatake became the 6th Hokage, and for a lot of fans, there's this incorrect belief that outside of Naruto the Last and a couple of events that involved Shikamaru and Sasuke, there wasn't any real drama during his Hokage tenure, because the world was supposed to be at quote peace. However, this isn't true at all. During the era that Naruto fans like to call the blank period, there were quite a few disturbances that took place when Kakashi was Hokage. Like the time that Kakashi, during a battle with 2 ice-released siblings, had to risk his life to save dozens of innocent people from being blown up during what was about to be another wide-scale massacre had it not been for his quick thinking. Join me in today's newest edition of After Naruto Shippuden, where we discuss the moment where Kakashi fought a desperate battle to stop a massacre from occurring, where dozens of innocent people would have been blown up in order to kill more innocent people in the Land of Waves. For those of you guys who are new, After Naruto Shippuden is a series here on the channel where we take a look at the events that take place between Naruto chapter 699 and chapter 700, which were either never animated, or if they did get animated, they left out enormous amounts of context, or they made changes to the story during what is commonly referred to as the blank period before Boruto. The information for today's video is going to be coming from one such story, Kakashi Hiden, Lightning in the Frozen Sky, which takes place in the time period just before Sasuke's release during the prologue, and everything afterwards, including this scene, happens 1 year into Kakashi's Hokage tenure after Naruto's already gotten his Hashirama Cell arm, has gotten used to using it, which this story was never animated in Shippuden, so this information is going to be new to most of you guys, and outside of the custom artwork I have, a lot of these scenes you'll never have seen. For the context of this scene, Kakashi has entered into an airship that was built in the Land of Waves that Inari and his grandfather worked on. A rogue ninja army led by 2 ice-release users from Haku's clan. They've taken over the airship. The people in this army were people who experienced living in their perfect dream world during the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and once returning to the real world, being back on the battlefield surrounded by dead shinobi, the trauma caused many of them to go rogue, faking their deaths and inflating the amount of people who were dead, which led to Kakashi and Tsunade sending Naruto and Sai out as part of a 2-man team hunting down deserters during the first 2 years of Kakashi's reign as Hokage. The siblings who Kakashi finds himself in combat with in this scene are slowly being split in 2 by Kakashi's words after their first battle saw the duo perform very well, with Kahyo, the sister, stalemating Kakashi in taijutsu, at times putting him on a defensive and forcing him to use Purple Lightning, and the brother Rahyo being able to fight relative to Might Guy on one leg while he's dealing with motion sickness, so that's a little bit of a downtick for him. But when Kakashi agrees to surrender himself in order to save the lives of the innocent people on the airship to keep any more of them from being killed, saying that a life of a Hokage would be a bigger bargaining chip than the dozens of lives of the innocent people on the airship, he takes the opportunity to try to reason with the sister Kahyo. After he learns of how her husband, a supporter of Zabuza, when he tried to overthrow the 4th Mizukage, passed away, Kahyo and her child, they fled to the Land of Waves, being driven out the Land of Water like the other members of Haku's clan who possessed the Ice-Release Kekkei Genkai. It made Kakashi realize that she could be reasoned with, that unlike her bloodthirsty brother, who wants to kill as many people as possible to make them suffer for what was done to him in the past, Kahyo, she can be reasoned with because of the death of her child, which still hangs very heavy on her heart. During the 4th Great Ninja War, when the medics in the Land of Waves were called upon by the Land of Fire by Tsunade to assist the Shinobi Alliance in the war against Madara and Obito, her son awakened his Ice-Release Kekkei Genkai, using it to save a friend when they were out playing. His friend had thrown a rock at a set of hornets' nests, and so when the hornets all swarmed them, her son awakened the Ice-Release Kekkei Genkai to save his friend, but he couldn't control it because he had no training as a shinobi. Hundreds of giant hornets, they stung her son, all in response, all over his body from the eyes to his neck, and by the time Kahyo learned of what happened and she reached him, she grabbed her son and tried to find a doctor who could save him. Yet even with her speed as a shinobi, she wasn't able to make it to the nearest area where a doctor was skilled enough to save her son before the venom from the hornets ended up killing her child, and during the grief, the infinite Tsukuyomi had occurred, further adding to her trauma. A mother briefly reunited with her dead son and husband, only to be brought out of her dream world suddenly. Thus, it radicalized her and caused her hatred for the Land of Fire to grow. It's during this conversation that Kakashi is sending chakra through his body to offset the Isolese Jutsu that Kakashi realizes that he's going to have to do the impossible, attempt to fight Rahyo while also running enough chakra through his body to avoid being frozen alive by Kahyo's jutsu, because her brother had negotiated in bad faith with Tsunade and Inoki to release the hostages on the airship. Their parachutes, they had been filled with explosive powder that would be detonated when the hostages were seemingly about to land safely, and the explosion would be enough to nuke the entire area. Seeing this, Kakashi springs into action despite the great personal risk that it causes him. With the scene and the context being set, I'll jump right into the scene by reading the relevant selected passages from the story, and then I'll come back to you guys to give you more additional context, and it's here I'm gonna begin quoting. "No, you can't put on those vests," Kakashi screamed before he could think. His body was moving on its own. Kakashi Hatake. Rahyo's eyes, they were wide as he watched Kakashi leap out from behind the piano. "The vests, they're filled with blue fire powder. They'll explode when you hit the ground," Kakashi shouted. Kahyo stared at Kakashi with saucer-like eyes and looked at her brother before looking at Kakashi again. "I can't get it off." The passengers began to scream while Rahyo was laughing, telling them that it was too late. The ninja under his command suddenly grabbed the screaming passengers and those who tried running away, throwing them out the airship one after the other. Kakashi's eyes widened as he listened to more of their screams as they were each being thrown out the airship. Rahyo glared at Kakashi as he began to act. "Don't blame me for this. This is Konoha's fault. I wouldn't have to kill these people, but Konoha, it has their blood on its hands now." A fierce rage erupted inside of Kakashi as he flew at his opponent, trying to save those who he could. "Ice release, ice smashing hammer," Rahyo shouted. His instantly hardened fists surrounded in ice. They swung at Kakashi. Ducking away from side to side, dodging the attacks, Kakashi thrust his kunai at him, but because he couldn't properly mold his chakra due to Kahyo's jutsu, the speed of his attack was just slow enough that it was deflected and countered. Rahyo had carefully measured his attack and countered with an ice release coated fist right to Kakashi's stomach. Air was knocked from Kakashi's body, blood from his lips, and the kick sent him flying to the other side of the lounge. Kakashi immediately got to his feet and adjusted for his next attack, throwing caution to the wind. "Purple lightning," Kakashi shouted, ignoring the fact that the jutsu being used caused Kahyo's ice release jutsu to begin freezing parts of his body, the mist spreading all over him. He still activated the jutsu. The thunderous chakra became a sword and it raced along the floor. Instantly, he launched his attack and then dispersed the chakra through his entire body to push back the ice from Kahyo's jutsu before it could freeze more of his body. Rahyo leapt back to avoid Kakashi's attack, but Kakashi had fooled him. He was never his target. The purple lightning bolts that he had created, they had hit the passengers still on the ship with just enough chakra that it ripped the parachute vests attached to their bodies without doing too much harm to the passengers. It was a serious gamble by Kakashi. If his aim had even been the slightest bit off, then the blue fire powder, it would have exploded. If he used too much chakra, he would have harmed the passengers who were still on the ship. The passengers, they fell over themselves trying to escape the room where the fighting was continuing. Kakashi dropped down to one knee in exhaustion. Just using purple lightning, it had exhausted him, while also trying to simultaneously combat Kahyo's jutsu. Still, as a Hokage, he had to risk his life to save these people. "Is that all that the famed Kakashi the copy ninja can do?" Rahyo taunted before he prepared his next attack. "I'll kill you here now," he said. Kakashi barely had any strength left in his legs to brace himself for the incoming attack. All he could do was cross his arms and rely on his own physical strength to block the attack since he couldn't use his chakra. However, the attack had never hit him. Kakashi looked up from the explosion and crackling ice, and he saw the ice fangs that were protecting him. Kakashi and Rahyo, they were equally surprised. Kahyo had saved Kakashi with a lone tear falling from her eye as she looked at Kakashi and then looked at her brother. End quote. It's at this point that things heat up even further here. So Kahyo, realizing that her brother was attempting to carry out more murders of the people in the Land of Waves, and realizing how far they'd gone and strayed from their original intent, she releases her jutsu that was forcing Kakashi to continuously mold chakra to avoid being frozen. But as is typical Naruto fashion, where we're told a ninja must see through deception, there was something hidden here. While she was saving Kakashi and arguing with her brother, the tears that she was shedding, they were really an ice release jutsu that produced these ice release snakes that had fangs on them that began to start attacking, which resulted in Kakashi entering into evasive maneuvers. And it was at that moment he realized that his chakra had been returned because he was avoiding the attacks using chakra enhanced speed. And it's then he saw through the deception. She was attempting to position Kakashi where he could kill her himself and her brother with this purple lightning attack, and it was her way of making amends for his sins. When Kakashi realizes this, he stops discharging purple lightning. As Kakashi sees her shedding sincere tears that don't hide a jutsu, as he calls out for her suicidal actions, she reminds Kakashi of what it was that he told her. When two rights they clash, an honorable person they considers their enemy's perspective, and Kahyo says that she is still overcome with the grief of having lost her son and her hatred for the Land of Waves and for Konoha. But before things can go any further, explosions they ring out and the room it is engulfed in fire, which is where we're going to bring things to a close for now, because what happens next shows just how much Obito's conversation with Kakashi when he explained how Rin died and how it affected him. That conversation plays a huge role in Kakashi's interactions with Kahyo. If you want to learn more about what happened during the blank period before Boruto, you want to click here on the left for more videos from the After Naruto Shippuden playlist, or you'll want to click here on the right for my newest Anime Explained video where I discuss non-Naruto content.